Hello, I'm Rosie and today I'm going to be doing a book review of Girl Detached by Manuela Salvi. This book follows a girl called Alec as she's forced into a new home, and from there she befriends her neighbour called Megan, who comes across as very much the it girl. She's with all the fashions, she seems to have a lot of money, though from sources no one knows where. And through Megan, she meets the charming Reuben, who Alec quickly becomes infatuated with. This book has been banned in its native country, Italy, because of the themes that it talks about, and as such it's been brought to the UK where it's been translated and being published by The Bucket List. The whole book is one that had me hooked and thinking about it. I read it so quickly. I think I did read it on holiday, so I had more time to read it more quickly, but it's one that the writing style just instantly draws you in, and it's not difficult to read. In fact, it's quite an easy read in terms of the writing style, so you move along the story quite quickly, and as such you kind of see the rapid progression of what's happening in Alec's life, and it's quite scary to read about, because this is the stuff that happens in this book does happen in the real life, and it's chilling. It is just chilling. But yeah, essentially she is just dragged into this underworld of child prostitution and grooming. So it's quite a big topic, and I think it's handled very well in this book, because all you see it from is Alec's point of view. So you see how the effect of this malevolent force has on her, and she doesn't realise it, and her naivety is just so frustrating at times. Like, Alec is an incredibly relatable character. She's got the insecurities that any teenage girl would have, especially given the way she's been brought up, and it's to the point that she's got this really bad stutter, so she has struggled talking to people as well, and the only time she feels comfortable is when she's on stage performing and acting out another role. At the very start of the book she's also very vulnerable. Like, she's had one disaster in her life that's forced her to move house, to change who she's living with, and then the other place that she can call home, she's got best about to lose as well. So when you start reading this, she's already in a very vulnerable situation, which is very something that these groomers prey on. And oh my gosh, I find it quite difficult to talk about because I don't want to reveal too much, but I also feel like it's a topic that should be talked about, and it's very difficult to find the right balance. So going back to that, she works in a theatre group, and the only time she can feel comfortable is when she's on stage being someone else, and she finds that the only way to fit in with Megan and her friends and Reuben is to be this other person who she feels that they want them to be, rather than actually being herself, as she views herself, her true self, as someone who's not worth it. And it's awful to read about. The book is easy, but the topic is really difficult. And even though I read it so quickly, there are times when I was just like, from a reader's perspective, you're looking in, so you, the reader, knows what's going on, but Alec doesn't, because she has that naive quality, and she's not aware of what's going on, and she doesn't have that awareness at all. So it's incredibly difficult to read those parts and not feel this frustration and also worry for her. And the fact that she is quite a relatable character in the way she's written, and also some of the facets of her personality, makes it quite easy to see how it could happen to a friend of yours, a child you know, or even yourself if you're a teenager or a child. And the other characters in this are also so well thought out that it just makes this whole world seem real. And it's real in that this does happen. So it really brings it home how awful this kind of situation is. And I think having Megan and her friends there in the book, because they appear to enjoy it, they're the ones that pull Alec in, and it kind of highlights how manipulative these people are, because these girls, even though they come across as enjoying it and being there of their own free will, they must have been brought into it somehow and just been manipulated into staying. and it's just, oh my god, it's genuinely scary. And I think the way the story progresses and the fact that parts of it are revealed in very small doses, it gradually gets worse and worse and worse, that you feel you've reached a point that it couldn't get any worse, and then it does. You've got the build-up of hope, and then it's crushed, and a build-up again, and then that's further crushed. It's such a good book. I'm not going to talk about that part anymore, because I know I'll end up rambling for hours. The only real annoyance that I had with the book was the ending. I did not think it fit with the tone of the rest of the book. It's quite a bittersweet ending, and I don't really like it as much because it didn't really go. It just felt wrong for the rest of the story. Don't let that stop you from reading the book. It's just the way that I felt the ending came across after reading the rest of the story, and perhaps that's because I read it in one dose. I had all of the darkness in this book right up until the end, and then it stopped, and so I found that quite difficult to work out in my head, but that was like the only main issue I had. The characters in this are incredible, they're all very well written and they just completely come to life. Helena is amazing, I just want to know her, and Ruben is so chilling. You know he's bad news, but at the start you can't help but kind of like him, which feels so wrong as you're reading it, because you know he's awful, but you've kind of been drawn in by that manipulative persona of his, like Alec has, so you'd kind of get forced along on this journey as well. But the rest of this book just kind of works really well with the characters integrating and the whole story being brought along, as well as developing the characters as well. And you get to know each one, even the ones that you really don't want to know. So it all just works out really quite well. And it's just so well done. Like, as I said, I've read this book so quickly. I was hooked from the very beginning all the way to the end. And it's easy to read, and the topic is one that definitely is talking about it. I finished the book and just sat there and just thought about it. This book actually put me into a very small reading slump because I finished it, and because it affected me so much, I really did not want to start another book until I kind of pulled myself out of that effectiveness, because I didn't want this book to influence any other book I was reading, and I kind of didn't want to go into another world where it might be all happiness and cheer, and this kind of problem doesn't exist, because it does. Just read this book. If you enjoyed any of Louise O'Neill's books, you will probably enjoy this one. But yeah, read this book because it is really, really good, and it's such an important topic. Girl Detached by Manuela Salvi. I will see you next time. Goodbye.